ॐ गणानां त्वा गणपतिगं हवामहे कविं कवीनां वश्रवस्तवं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पदान शृण्वन्नोतिभिस्सीसादनं श्रीमहागणपतये नमः। प्रणो देवी सरस्वती वाजे विर्वाजिनीपति धीनामवित्रेवतो महासरस्वत्यै नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। गुरुवे सर्वलोकानां विषयरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। अस्मिन् गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। देवीं वाचमजनयन्ति देवाः तां विश्वरूपा पशवो वदन्ति सा नो मन्दिरेषु मूर्तिन्दुहाना धेनुर्वागस्मानुपतिष्ठितयतु या सम्मतिष्ठर्तारं शक्ते पौत्रमकल्मषं पराशरात्मजं वन्दे शुकदातं तपोनिधिं या साय विष्णुरूपाय व्यासरूपाय विष्णवे नमो वै ब्रह्महृदये वासिष्ठाय नमो नमः। श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। शिवशक्तिसमारम्भां भास्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मश्रीनाथपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रीलता महात्रिपुरसुन्दरी समेत श्री चन्द्रमौळीश्वराय नमः। श्री काञ्ची कामकोटि पीठाधिपति जगद्गुरु श्री शंकराचार्य श्रीचरणयोः प्रणामाः। स्वस्ति श्रीमदखिलभूमण्डलालङ्कार त्रिंशत्कोटिदेवता सेवित श्री कामाक्षी देवी जनाथ श्रीमद एकाम्रनाथ श्री महादेवी जनाथ श्री हस्तगिरिनाथ साक्षात्कार परमाधिष्ठान सत्यव्रतनामाङ्गे काञ्ची दिव्यक्षेत्रे शारदामठस्वस्थितानाम् अतुलितसुधारसमादृत्य कमलादनकामिनी धम्मिल्ल सम्पुल्ल मल्लिका मालिका निष्यन्द मकरन्दझरि सौवस्तिकवाङ्निकुम्भ विजृम्भणानन्द तन्द्रितमनीषमण्डलानाम् अनवरताद्वैतविद्याविनोदरसिकानां निरन्तरालङ्कृतीकृत शान्तिदान्तिभूम्नां सकलभुवनचक्रप्रतिष्ठापक श्रीचक्रप्रतिष्ठा विख्यात यशोऽलङ्कृतानां निखिलपाषण्डषण्डकण्टकोद्घाटनेन विशदीकृतवेदवेदान्तमार्ग शर्मदप्रतिष्ठापकाचार्याणां श्रीमत्परमहंसपरिव्राजकाचार्यवर्य श्रीमज्जगद्गुरु श्रीमच्छङ्करभगवत्पादाचार्याणाम् अधिष्ठाने सिंहासनाभिषिक्त श्रीमच्चन्द्रशेखरेन्द्र सरस्वती संयमीन्द्राणाम् अधिष्ठाने सिंहासनाभिषिक्त श्रीमज्जयेन्द्र सरस्वती संयमीन्द्राणाम् अन्ते वासिवर्य श्रीमशङ्करविजयेन्द्र सरस्वती श्रीपादानां च चरणनलिनयोः सप्रश्रयं साञ्जलिबन्धं च नमस्कुर्मः। Great. So we are going to be doing mantra number 13 of the first Mundaka, second chapter. However, as I did in the morning class, whether all of you have any questions so far, whatever has been taught, are there any questions in terms of whether you have understood something, if not understood something, is something very abstract that you're finding it difficult to connect the dots? Any other explanation that you want me to answer? Because you need to get the gist of it. Even if it is not 100% complete, at least you need to get the gist of it, because with mantra number 13, we are going to be wrapping up the first Mundaka. And don't hesitate to ask. And no question is a dumb question or a stupid question. All of you can unmute. I mean, there's only few people, so you don't have to keep yourself on mute. Make it very interactive. The morning session was very interactive. Nausha, you have any questions? Okay. Manivannan?
Right now,
okay. So let me just quickly, briefly summarize in a very, very simple layman's language. Okay, why are we learning Mundaka Upanishad? What is it that we are going to gain? What is it that it is talked about? So far, what have we understood? Keep aside the technical jargons for a moment. Let's say that you don't understand all the technical jargons. You've learned 12 mantras. You've learned the meaning of that. Some of them could be in abstract terms, and it's very difficult to understand what is being talked about until you go through the whole thing over and over again. Read it, discuss it, study it, listen to it. You won't be able to get clarity, understandable. But what I promised in the morning to by next class, I'm going to have the audio of the first Mundaka ready. So all of you can get used to the chanting of the Mundaka Upanishad. No, number one. Second, if possible, by next class or the week after that, I will summarize what I have taught so far in a nice Word document. It could be 40 pages, 50 pages, I don't know. But I will try to summarize, give as many pramanams as possible. That will give you time to read and go through the whole thing in the form of a meaning. and understand what is being talked about, right? That should help putting everything into context. To summarize right now and get you the context right, I spoke about sound. So, morning Padmaja asked me, can you explain each mantra in one line what it means? That will be easy to understand. I said, even just to understand sound as a topic, the Western science describes it in 5 to 6 words. This is what is sound. Any vibration or disturbance is created in the air by somebody is heard as sound. It took me 2.5 classes, and I'm not done yet. Where our system has gone to such extraordinary level of depth of what is sound, not just within our body, what happens external to our body, how it is related to the three lokas, how it is related to the four states of consciousness, and so on and so forth. How it is related to the evolution of the cosmos, everything. In the process, we learned about Om as the Pranava, Adi Shabda. Then we talked about the various Bijaksharas, all the way to Panchabhutas, five senses, and the evolution of a human being connected to all the lokas, etc. So, if that one simple topic is given that level of importance and details, how do you expect any Upanishad or any mantra or any shloka to be translated which deals with the evolution and dissolution of cosmos, the rule-based order that is there in the outside world, of which probably 99.9999% we don't even know what exists out there. Based on scriptures, we are trying to reverse engineer and understand that. Had it been a topic where I can do a theory session, diagram, hierarchy, etc., and take you to a lab and say, okay, touch and feel, you can understand what is being talked there, it would have been very easy. Sadly speaking, that is not the case. Whenever we talk of us, cosmos, us in the whole ecosystem, a lot depends on our knowledge, awareness, removal of darkness in a guided fashion by authenticated people. That will help you discover yourself. When you say yourself, it is discovering yourself. You connect with your mind and consciousness. And majority of your learning and understanding is through experience. Correct? If I tell you chant Om 1,000 times, you'll get relief from allergy. I can only say it. But if it is established fact, you will be able to learn that only when you practice it and experience it. Correct? So you're taught constantly this is an iPhone. You have to experience that iPhone to know what is an iPhone. If I just keep showing you PowerPoint presentation and say iPhone is this, iPhone is that, iPhone can do this, blah, 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 it'll say, oh, okay, great, understood. But I still don't know what it is. So if such a materialistic object created by men requires so much of knowledge and effort to understand, for us to get in tune with the cosmos, it will take a lot of time. So we talked about sound, we talked about the process of evolution, and it directly connects to Mundaka Upanishad in the sense that Shaunaka asked Sage Angiras the same question. What is it that I have to learn, that I have to know, by which I will know everything? That is why Mundaka Upanishad is so special. The sage told Shaunaka that there is a Paravidya and Aparavidya, lower level knowledge, higher level knowledge. In the lower level knowledge, you can become a master of Akshara, Matra, Layam, Stuti, everything. You can master that. You can understand sound. You can understand the whole science behind sound. You can learn yoga, meditation, pranayama. You can learn all the mantras. You can do mantra japas and energize yourself. You can learn about the energy centers in the body. You can do upasanas. You can do parayanams. You can do homams. You can do archana, abhisheka, everything. And you can spend your lifetime learning the mantras, tantras, shlokas, rituals, and go after everything to make sure that those rituals you are able to do it is still not the required amount of knowledge that is required for you to liberate yourself and understand what is Atman. So, Atman, we learned in one of the mantra, cannot be described. Correct? Nirguna. In one of the mantras, we also learned that Atman is imperishable, all pervasive. It cannot be described by attributes. It can only be experienced. So all our effort is through the system of karma is only to prepare ourselves. Like, you're sanitizing yourself before you go into a sterile room. The real pursuit is in the higher level knowledge. So in simplified English, what is being told is you use the lower level knowledge and techniques to energize yourself, sanitize yourself, purify yourself, etc., etc., and go through that the process of elevating your levels of energy. And at one point, you will see light equal to thousand suns. At that time, you will see whatever you thought is a reality in front of you as matter and object will all disappear as Maya, and you will get connected with the real Atman or Purusha. Make sense? This is what is being talked about. Any question on this so far? So now let us go to mantra number 13. Tasmai sa vidvanupasannaya Tasmai sa vidvanupasannaya Samyak prashanta chittaya shamanvitaya. Tasmai sa vidvanupasannaya Samyak prashanta chittaya shamanvitaya. Yenaksharam purusham veda satyam provacha tam tattvato brahmavidyam. Yenaksharam purusham veda satyam provacha tam tattvato brahmavidyam. Here, the literal meaning of the word Savidwan is that learned person, which is indirectly referencing the Guru. Upasannaya, who has approached before him. If you have approached before me as the Guru, reference is to Upasannaya, who has been approached. Samyak, properly. Prashanta Chittaya, whose mind has been well pacified. Shamanvitaya, who has controlled his senses. Tasmai, to him. Jignasave is seeker of truth. Yena, by which. Getting older, small scripts I'm not able to read. So, Yena, by which Satyam is the true. Aksharam is referencing the imperishable. Purusham, being. So, Aksharam, Yena Aksharam Purusham. Yena means by which. Purusham, Aksharam is the imperishable being. Veda can be known. Tam, that. Brahma Vidyam, the knowledge. Tattvataha, in its real form. Provacha, should tell. So, if we summarize this in simple English in a proper grammatical language, is unto him who has thus properly approached with his mind, means somebody who has approached the Guru. The Guru is supposed to be a person with his mind well pacified and senses controlled. That Guru, or the wise person, knowledgeable person, impart in its real form that knowledge of Brahman by which the true imperishable being is known. So if you have to know that, that Guru has to impart that knowledge to you. Now, if you just break it down into various components, what is being talked about? If I say, let's make it a little bit more interactive. So if I say, Usha, that, please answer this question. And let's say you come back and say, I don't know. And I say, what nonsense. I've been teaching for so many months and you're telling me that you don't know. You're a grown up adult. Okay, forget it. You may not be able to tell. Anu will be able to tell. And Anu says, no, I didn't have time this week. I couldn't read or I couldn't keep up. And I say, oh, it doesn't make sense at all if you're all grown up people and still don't want to show up your commitment, etc., etc. What am I doing?
Showing your emotion towards whatever, not for not getting a positive response.
Yes, and it is not balanced. It is not balanced. So if I am still floating in that la la land with that ego and everything bound by all that stuff, I cannot be the right person sitting in this chair trying to teach you, and you are in the hands of a wrong person trying to learn something very advanced. So, first of all, I must be a mature person, calm person, at least have read about this, understood about it, at least practice these things, though I might not have achieved that level of perfection. If I don't have the knowledge, I can't give you the knowledge because I cannot speak convincingly to you that what you need to do, how you need to do, or I would not have been able to summarize so far what I've taught in a meaningful way that you can say, yes, it makes some sense. Make sense? So, the person who has got knowledge should be able to demonstrate control of his senses, demonstrate the knowledge, and be able to talk about the subject in detail to demonstrate experience. Very straightforward, simple mantra, correct? So, here the Shruti says what should be the inner nature of the aspirant of the supreme knowledge. So, who is the aspirant of supreme knowledge here? Shaunaka. In your case, it is you, in this case. It is that Brahma Vidya that you need to learn, by learning which you will be free from all limitations and bondages of life. So, in previous mantras, we talked about the created and the uncreated. So, let us spend a couple of minutes in terms of what are those created and uncreated aspects. Have you seen people saying, like, if you deliver a baby, you say, I produce this baby? You have, right? Yeah, it's my baby. I produce this baby. Yes? So you can freely answer yes, no, etc., etc.
Because it's a very general terminology which we say that,
Correct.
taken for granted that.
Correct.
Okay,
Now let's take the analogy to a little bit of. Go ahead.
It's something like, unconsciously or consciously we are trying to say that, okay, I'm taking the credit for doing whatever it is, but actually the creation is basically not me. If you really got to think it deeply, it's a different thing. Because I think you said the other day also, nothing is here that we have created. There is nothing of ownership. Even if you want to make like a small thing with a little bit of mud, you want to, that mud is also not us. Nothing is us.
Exactly.
So
I gave the analogy in the morning when it came to my mind. I said, just imagine You have so many packets getting delivered by the FedEx and Amazon guys. They say, I delivered it, so I created it for you. That'll be the worst claim that one can have, right? So there is a straight example of knowledge putting you in the right place at the right time, telling you who you are. You're not God. You're a human being, and you need to understand that you're only a deliverer. You're a delivery person. At best, woman can be credited with saying you're baking the whole seed. The seed itself is not created by you.
Yes.
Correct? That's the key part. So why is kind of things very important for you to understand? A, when you start being impractical and incorrect in your assessment and understanding, it drives you to have ego. I created it. I created it. And the moment that one feeling comes into your system, it creates a whole lot of problems. Problem number one, you're lying. Problem number two, you will have many people disagreeing with you. Problem number three, you're setting very high expectations. Problem number four, that expectations drives conflicts. Problem number five, if you don't know how to manage the conflicts, you create more conflicts, fights, arguments, depression, anxiety, toxicity in your body, limits your capability and resources. And slowly, these kind of desire for a bigger ego, more ego will become greed, and you're into that infinite loop. Just that one thought, a wrong thought that I created this, I produced this, etc., etc. And when you go into the context of what I summarized just about 5 minutes ago, that all what you're doing through all this rituals, which are karmas, if you say with all these karmas I created this, and I because I created this, now I'm proud and I'm happy, you're actually not happy, right? Another example, I said, if I go back to India, I still live in that same 200 square feet home with very basic amenities. I intentionally forget the kind of lifestyle I have here because I just want to be reminded of my roots. Second, when you sit there and recall all the nostalgic memories of childhood, my father being a single earning member of the family, and we were six of us, we were far more happier there than what we are here today with most of the luxuries that you expect you have. So that right then and there is a proof that just because you have more greed and more aspiration for money, wealth, luxury, etc., it doesn't mean that your happiness is guaranteed. You're in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, anything external, if you're thinking that an external thing will make us happy, that is not happiness. It has to be searched within.
So another example of making a lot of money, you start breaking your head. You start educating yourself on tax laws because you'll have to find out what to apply, which tax clause to apply to save taxes. You get sleepless nights, and you always believe that the IRS guy is standing on your doorstep. You don't have the peace of mind, and you go to any extent to say, okay, no matter what, I don't want to pay that money to the government. I have to save. Tend to do everything else that you normally would not do. And if Narendra Modi type of person comes as a prime minister, you never know. It gets demonetized and that cash becomes useless. That's another added dimension now. So earning more money, earning wealth and luxury does not guarantee peace. There is ample examples you can look into your own lives and reconcile to it. Now we are all happy to admit it so far because we are of a certain age. You tried saying this
Yes.
to your children. Some may accept
Yes.
it. Most may not even accept it. They'll say, keep
No,
all
no,
your.
there are a lot of grown-ups also who will not understand.
And
If you
that is where it is important that while we are talking of all the basic principles required for us to get liberated, there is also a nice context and timing for everything. And which is why I shared the template. I don't know whether you all have retained it or not. Uh, it's called Sadhana Panchakam, which is written by Adi Shankara. And it is a nice template that it was given in terms of at what age and what phase of life what should be your priority. Our phases of life are very clearly defined. Balavastha, right? And teenage, Grahasthashram. After Grahasthashram, Vriddhashram. No, Vriddhashram.
Vriddhashram is.
Old age. After that, Vanaprastham, that you're heading to the forest, sacrifice everything, give it up.
It's mentally heading to the forest.
Correct. No, there are actually, in reality, if you think so, it is mentally, that is not true. In India, there are people who go ahead to the forest. I'm talking ordinary people.
Okay.
So, Vanaprastha. And then Sannyasa. Sannyasa means literally you lead an austere life, very, very austere life. The path is clearly defined. That unless you give up your desires, just and this infinite loop of attraction to all this materialistic thing that is actually, you're willing to say it is Maya, you're willing to say it is not permanent, it is temporary, etc., etc. And you also agree that I have to go to that level to get liberation. Nobody has the guts to take the step because you don't know what will happen. You can't even imagine. How can I live without my iPhone? How can I live without checking my WhatsApp messages every 5 minutes?
What I've been reading and trying to understand is, with your constant sadhana and guru grace, it takes a very, very long time, many janmas also. Things will actually start falling off automatically, because when you start, if you try to suppress something, it's going to come back because you're just trying to suppress. But if automatically certain detachments happen, then yes, you're moving towards.
Slight correction.
But take a lot.
Slight correction. You explained it very well. There is nothing automatic. Because the moment you say automatic, karma system goes for a toss.
No, when I say automatic, I mean to say when you do sadhana, then
it is not automatic. If you do the sadhana with proper knowledge from a proper person, in the proper sequence, in the proper time, with proper perseverance. Not that you go to the gym for 2 days and then for a week you don't go to the gym and suddenly you feel, oh, my muscles are all not building up. It won't. Even in a gym, which is as simple as building your muscle up, they'll say, okay, come on, yesterday it was 12 reps, now make it 20, make it 25. He'll keep on increasing it. Weights and the reps.
Yes.
Correct? So, if for all physical stuff we need so much, so mentally imagine how it is. Mental is even more springy. You press it, it will be there. Leave it, it will come back with double the force. Back to default. Everything is by default. So, to move forward, you need a positive force. Very basic law of physics. Correct? So, we cannot afford to say, oh man, this is too complex. It's very difficult to understand. No, it is not. Just as getting you a basic degree, you are putting in 16 years where you don't even know. You start A for apple, and that time you never ask the question, what am I going to do with A for apple? I cannot perform a surgery on somebody. I cannot build a machine. I cannot drive a car. No, you learned A for apple because only then you can go to words, sentences, grammar, Ren and Martin. And only when your English is right, you can probably learn math. Every component was learned. With the hope that yes, this path, as long as the path is right, and if I learn the basics and I don't forget what I learned in kindergarten for class 4 or 5, you're making progress. The same thing that is applicable here too. It is not difficult. Then I gave another suggestion in the morning, and if I forget something that I've given in the morning, please replay the morning video and pick it up, because I don't memorize everything. I don't repeat everything in the same way. If you believe that it is very, very tough to speak this language of sacrifice, try. Think of, after the class, something that you love the most, you like the most, and you believe that you cannot live without it. Take a sankalpa to say, I'm going to give it up for a week, 2 weeks, 1 month. See what happens. I used to live my life right after wedding. There was no pramanam, there was no book, there's no Upanishat that said that. It is just that virus came into my head. I don't need my wife to service me anything, but morning first coffee, I want it from her. Poor lady serviced that requirement for a long, long time. But as she grew, kids were born, her responsibility increased, she was growing at her work. Her body also said, you need some rest. And she's very clear about full quota of sleep essential. Direct conflict with my requirement. Either I can say, I am just asking for one thing and you can't even do that, or I can apply my brain to say, it is an her sleep is important, her mental health is important, physical health is important. I need to find ways by which I can fulfill my requirement. And second of all, why is it that it is driving me so nuts? Evaluate your assumptions. If I don't have that coffee, I will get headache. I'll do this, I will do that. Evaluate it. Find proper solutions in the right direction rather than hanging on to that assumption as if that is the end of the world assumption and trying to prove that is right by hook or crook. I used to drink 16 to 20 cups a day. I used to take pride in that. Today it is reduced to one. Absolutely, people are saying you're looking much healthier. So you are living a life with false notions and assumptions, which was toxic to you and harmful to you. So to experiment whether that sacrificing thing is feasible or possible or not possible, make small attempts. Store it in your database. It doesn't mean that from tomorrow you're going to wear a saffron cloth and go to the forest. If you have to do that as per the sadhana panchakam, if it says that you're supposed to do that at the age of 80, 85, you don't go to school and read A for apple then. If that is the time of execution, you're well prepared with a amount of knowledge, dry runs, appearing for exams, validating your knowledge, doing some little experiments of how to do things and what to do things so that you can execute it when the time comes. If you are in true pursuit of knowledge and trying to reach that Atman, right? So, couple of points that I missed in our system, not just by experience. In order for you to have experience and the learning, you need to have all the five senses active. Correct? If you can't hear, if you can't see, if you can't smell or touch, and it doesn't translate into an abstract layer of mental emotions and feelings and responses and reactions, your learning stops right there. So, there in one of the mantras, it says, as you practice the lower level knowledge and as you perform the other things at the right time in the right place, you will go through the path of the sun, which is also being talked about in Srividya Upasana, right? When you come to the Kundalini raised to the Vishuddha Chakra, you will see lights equal to 1,000 suns. Not just one. We can't even see one sun. You'll see 1,000 suns. That is when everything else will melt, disappear as Maya. Just like if you've seen the movie Matrix. How many of you seen Matrix? If not, please watch it. You'll get some idea. So learn, believe, trust that you're getting the right knowledge, and practice. Just by hearing it and say, I've read the PDF, I've attended all the class without fail, is not going to get you liberation. It's ultimately you have to act to be able to realize what you're looking for. So far, so good, right? Everything is important. The guru that is teaching you should be important. You don't want a Max Miller just reading the word Gotra and say this is caste system and taking you somewhere else. Every minute thing is important. And in the engineering parlance, I always used to say that let's say that there are two things if you are expected to be in sync, right? Take any example. Two objects need to be in sync, or husband and wife need to be in sync and running together. You cannot say this is the gap and say, oh, it's only a half a degree separation. From a degree perspective, it is half a degree separation, right? I'm just giving a number. You can see my hands, right? What is the problem with this logic? It's only a half a degree separation. And these are the types of understanding that you have to develop in your brain to be able to have a reality check. I would be really surprised if somebody is able to give a straight correct answer. What is the problem with this philosophy? That's only a half a degree separation. Why are you making such a big fuss?
No, but the actual thing is not happening. The completeness is not. They never meet. They continue to remain separated.
Yeah, but they still are going in the same direction. I never
But
said that they have to meet.
It's the purpose of doing the namaskar. It's not serving the purpose.
No, I'm giving an example. If a husband and wife have to be together to achieve a goal or whatever it is, this is together in sync. This is not in sync, right? At least here you can say, okay, I will catch up. You went fast, I went fast, then I'll catch up, I'll compensate, and there's a reconciliation. If there is a half a degree gap separation, can you ignore it by saying it's only a half a degree? Come to think of it, as you draw the line and extend it, the gap here at the bottommost may be half a micron. As you draw the line to the fullest level, the degree could probably mean 10 inches of gap at the top. Make sense? It's a completely different perspective. So, here what is being said is you need to have the authenticated guru, person who has been down the path, and not just read from a PDF or hear from somebody and just vomit it. The person should be able to awaken your inner consciousness, awaken your inner knowledge, and help you connect all the dots so that you can practice it, so that you can have a template or a roadmap for yourself, why these things are important and what is it that you're going to get if you pursue all these things. Make sense? In a day-to-day life 9 to 5 job, when we are running and trying to chase all our life earning a few dollars, we don't pay attention to all these details. We don't have time for learning all these details, and they don't make much of a meaning to us because we don't care. We take a lot of things for granted. I don't know how many of you, till we attended this class, even thought that sound as a concept will have that level of meaning. And if you don't pay attention, if you don't read, if you don't educate yourself, then you're living in darkness forever. Right? So, in this case, it is repeatedly being said that your mind should be free from all desires and attachments. In other words, it must be filled with a strong vairagya. In Tamil, they say, "Enna vairagyathura irukku appdi." Lord Shiva was called a vairagi. And there are so many people, if you see, even Devoka Dev Mahadev, if you don't want to read the Shiva Purana in full, don't have time, at least watch Devoka Dev, all the serials on Hotstar. You will learn many things. So many people coming and trying to teach him, what is this? I've got gold, I've got freedom, I've got my own loka, I've got my own apsaras. There is sitting on a stone. But if you really see that, there was a question in the morning which Sonalji asked. So does it mean that I should not meet my friends and just not stop wasting my time with people? Valid question, right? In today's world. What do you think is the correct answer?
No, I see, that is what, like, I have seen from my past experience or certain things what I've been reading. As I said, you don't suppress something very strongly. Certain things will happen when you start contemplating on what exactly you're trying to do. So if you're having that kind of a frivolous fun and you're still enjoying it, you will do it till some point when you don't do any introspection. You will just continue thinking you're competing. So,
correct word is introspection. And for introspection, you need knowledge.
Yes.
Theoretical knowledge is no good.
Proper time to gather knowledge, you will continue to do frivolous
That is okay.
activities like this.
That is okay. That is okay.
But see, but if you're going to some friends and let's say there is somebody knowledge, something which might trigger, which sets you to think, then it is beneficial. But if it is just like that, then I don't know how.
There are two sides to the coin. There are two sides to the coin. I'm very happy. That is why I'm saying make it very interactive, because it is very difficult for me to do a monologue. I may not remember to speak all those things and give you the purpose or the multitude dimension of any topic, any concept. Let's dissect your sentence. But if I go there and I get some knowledge from that friend, I don't want to miss out on that. Sounds very appealing.
No, you may not know. Sometimes you may get drawn into a certain conversation which might trigger something, because everybody has got different kinds of experiences in life. So there are some people who have some very chilling experience which you cannot even imagine. Like that might actually set you thinking that, okay, it can set you to think that, okay, you're full of gratitude, or sometimes you might try to think that, okay, I'm so fortunate, but you look at that person, or then you're trying to think that, oh, why I cannot. The other can be negative also. Oh, why can't I have that? So there's a whole lot of emotions and triggers which are happening in your mind depending on how many people you're meeting. That is the reason why in our Vedic terminology we always say a guru is very, very important. People don't understand.
You answered the question. You answered the question. So coming back to that, simply assuming that if I go and meet friends only then I can get knowledge and I don't want to miss out on that, it has two sides to the coin. By meeting them, probably you're hearing and learning something that you should not, because they may not be authenticated, validated information. That is number one. Number two, don't forget the basics. Authentic knowledge comes from the Guru Parampara only. Okay. And you must have heard Raghuji also say many things. They don't just pick it up and say, okay, today all of you will get the Namakshari. Today all of you will get Panchadashi. It is never wholesale. Because I can give the same knowledge to all 6 or 7 of you that are attending now. How each one of you receive, how each one of you understand, process, retain, and apply to make progress in your own life depends on at what stage of information and knowledge that you are today. The context, your age, your priorities in life, your other challenges in life. If you don't have food on the kitchen table, no matter whether I teach you Mundaka Upanishad or Mandukya Upanishad or Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, it makes no sense to you. Right? So, how each one will receive is going to be different. And depending on a person's level of maturity and exposure, the ability to receive the higher level knowledge will differ, will vary. So, I may say the same thing, but it may appeal differently to different people. And when a person is teaching it, it is important that you need to see the mix of the class and set the language and the pace of the discourse. I cannot come prepared and saying, "Oh, this is the script I'm going to talk, whether it makes interesting sense to you or not. Don't disturb me. Don't ask questions. I'm going to dump everything that I have scripted." That is not teaching. That is not imparting knowledge. Right? I will ask a lot of questions. And when we are discussing all these points, it may open up a tube light in somebody else's mind. Oh, that I should think about it. I have never thought about this. That is the whole purpose of the class. Correct? So, you need to gather the knowledge and experience to remove the darkness of fear so that you can make progress. That is the ultimate goal. So, to say that, I cannot just sacrifice everything, I'm not a sannyasi, to have those shackles and bondages is not going to help you achieve your goal. So that is why I shared the template. If you don't know anything else, just go with the template. It says at 30 to 40 years of age what you should be focusing on. So don't go and tell your children that go to Vanaprastha, go to the forest and do japa, mantra, etc. because I want you to learn liberation. There is a right time for everything. And in what phase of life, what source of knowledge that you need to focus on, what source of practice that you need to focus on is clearly explained by Adi Shankara nicely. So you just take that as a baseline, have the courage to follow the template. You have a bright chance of achieving what you want to achieve. Right? So the previous mantra also said the same thing, that you need to be learning all the rituals, etc., and take the summit and go to a learned person who can guide you through this path. So it is reinforcing mantra after mantra. It is reinforcing that unless you do basics and master the lower level knowledge, you cannot even be qualified to do the higher level. And without the higher level, you will not be able to reach the Paramatma. So the key word here is mind. Understanding the mind, connecting with the mind, and use your consciousness. Because you use the term Anu inadvertently. You said unconsciously if you do this. It's all about consciousness. You learn, you do things with understanding in a very conscious state, understanding what your consciousness is. You can't blindly just do experimentation. Keep randomly doing. Like take any example of cooking. If somebody says there are 10 recipes on preparing sambar, you have to pick one, and you have to apply your mind and knowledge and experience to say how it is going to be done. Right? In good old Hindi movies, they have that one humorous scene where through the radio they're getting learning how to cook, and suddenly there are two stations that get mixed up. It shouldn't happen that way. So practice some of the things that you're learning here seriously, even if it is at a basic level, and then you see the preparedness of your system to absorb the next level of knowledge. If you don't even practice the basic level, higher level information will make no sense to you, right? Any questions so far on what I said? No? So, as I said, some of you joined late. Before the next class, I will give the audio of all the mantras. So, you can start chanting and practicing it. Second, I will try by the next class or the class after that to prepare a Word document to connect all these dots of various concepts and what are the source information for each one of them, and why do they make a relevance, meaningful relevance to you at this time when you're setting out and investing your time in pursuit of knowledge, right? Practice some things, little things that you think you can experiment with. So how many of you are willing to plunge in and say, okay, I'm going to experiment with sacrificing something that I like so much? Manivandan has volunteered. So if you're comfortable declaring it, you can declare it, or you can announce it after you have achieved it, whatever makes you feel comfortable.
Maybe after I achieve it.
Okay, nobody wants to volunteer and say it? What is it that you want to give up?
No, we'll do it and tell you.
Okay. Everybody? Yeah, go ahead, Usha. Okay, good. Oh, even Ramaswamy, huh?
I didn't hear.
She said she will also attempt it and then announce what she attempted. It will give you a lot of lessons. Things that you felt you cannot do it, you'll be able to do it. And I, for one, believe that you need to test your boundaries, test your conditions, and be realistic about what you're capable, what you are not capable, in a more realistic sense, rather than just putting a net on your head and say, I cannot do this, I cannot even think of this, blah, blah, blah. And you just do a nice introspection, half an hour, isolate yourself and you analyze. You will list 1,000 items that you have done that you thought you could never do it. It could be wearing an attire that you never thought you could do it. It could be speaking a language that you thought you could never learn and speak, or executing a project, or doing an item, a special item for cooking, anything. You will find 1,000 items that you can list that I thought I cannot do it, but I've done it. And that should give you the motivation to say, yes, it is important for me to first understand the template. What are all the things that I need to learn and put it into practice and monitor them to see that I'll go down that path. And don't fear. It's not like you start sacrificing today, day after tomorrow, you will completely be bereft of all desires and bondages, and suddenly you will lose interest in life. It is not that simple. And those of you who can't believe it, please do a Kailash Mansarovar trip. You see the expanse of the Himalayas, and you will be shocked to know in all those massive mountains there are caves, small caves like pocket, what we call in the US as dormers. You're familiar with dormers, right? On top of the homes you see that small window type, which inside your house it is like a small hideout. So there are many such caves in those hills. It's full of snow, freezing conditions, rainy conditions. They will be with minimum bare clothes sitting there and doing tapas for years and years. They don't feel the
Yes,
cold.
yes.
I mean, they are bereft of all that stuff. And still they have
Yeah,
not
yes, yes.
achieved. They have still not achieved their goal. They are in the path, but they are doing it. And many people are doing it. So don't be scared. You have to do it one day or the other, because you can't keep roaming around this whole cycle. And it is not just about 7 janmas that I have been lucky enough to be born as a human being now. So all 7 janma is guaranteed, as there's no warranty like that. That you'll be a human janma in all your subsequent rebirth also. Correct? So sooner you get out of the cycle, it is better, rather than saying I'm prepared to take the rest, because you have no idea of the living organisms that you have not even seen. Take below the soil, you don't know. Below the sea, at the sea ocean bed, under that sea, it's a completely different ecosystem. So you can be born as any one of that living organisms. It doesn't have to be guaranteed that you will come back as a human being. So there's a hierarchy that you have crossed with a lot of difficulty. Don't let it go. That is my simple advice. So with this, we are completing the first Mundaka, and we will then from next class start the second Mundaka. And I don't think you have the script for the second Mundaka. I will release that also well before the class. Okay. Has it been light, or is it too getting theoretical and abstract for you guys?
I'm attending after a long time, so I'm